stream was my capture software was being goofy and kept spitting back a failed to start stream message, but it looks like it's working now. So hopefully that's true. I don't know. I guess we're gonna find out. Hello, I'm EnviroBoy. This is my channel, and we're gonna do some writing as we do at 11:30. I guess it's more like 11:45. I'm always a little late. I always like sit down thinking like, all right, I'm ready to go. It's 11:30, and then it's like, oh shoot, but I gotta like get everything set up. I always forget that it's more of a process than just like click start and go. But I'm here, and yeah, that's all we need to worry about. So all right, let's get ourselves to yeah, there we go. So yesterday we kind of started working on our sorry, hold on a second. All right, that's unimportant right now. So yeah, yesterday we started working on our city here, our Novotrokladny. We sort of have gotten to a point where it's time for us to start actually fleshing out some details of this campaign. And for me, a lot of times that means starting to put in the specific locations. We worked on our general region information, you know, when it comes to our random encounters and things like that. We've kind of got all that figured out. Yeah, from there from there we went to, sorry, I'm distracted. I got a couple balls still in the air I'm trying to juggle right now. They should be landed and caught momentarily, but such is life, right? But yeah, so we started. We've gotten our random encounters for our region all kind of hammered out. We've kind of settled on what our broad general campaign is going to be. So now it's time to start adding on a little bit more detail to each of those. So we've got, you know, we have our general region. So now let's get our specific locations within the region started to figure out. You know, like the more stationary, repeatable ones, right? So all of our main cities and everything, we're going to work on those. And then once those are done, once the main cities are done, I figure then we'll probably really specify exactly what all campaign mission items are going to exist in here, where all of the missions are going to originate from, namely those big cities we've taken the time to hammer out, or just found in the wild, depending on the nature of them. You know, like if there's an old lady who needs you to find a frying pan for her, you know, things like that. And then from there we start doing. Oh hey, new follower! Thank you, Fragilities. I appreciate you. Thank you for the follow. But yeah, once we can get the specific campaign missions and stuff figured out, then we move on to making all of our dungeons, and at that point in time, that's kind of when our campaign is like fully ready to go. One thing to keep in mind, I was kind of thinking about this, we've been able to really approach writing this campaign in a very slow-paced, orderly fashion, because I'm not actively using this. Keep in mind that when going about writing this stuff, you know, when I'm trying to figure out and prioritize what needs to happen, I may bump things forward in the priority ladder as needed if I were playing this live. Namely, we would start filling out dungeons and specific campaign story beats immediately, as opposed to hammering those out sort of later and layering things on. And what you do in that situation is you get what you immediately need for maybe 1 or 2 sessions out ahead, and then return to our usual approach of, you know, just kind of piecewise putting it all together. But I feel like that's something that I'm not really addressing, just because, you know, it is different if you're playing something live versus if you just are taking your time to build a campaign that will then eventually one day be used live. So I don't know, it changes it, but that's I don't know, that's the nature of the beast. This is the ideal way to design it, at least the way I approach it. So that's why I'm doing it this way and set up a separate project for the sake of the stream, because the good news about doing it this way, especially for the stream, is it really lets us go nice and slowly and handle things, which makes it easier for us to all sort of like discuss ideas and be more thoughtful in our approach, as opposed to just being like, oh god, they went crazy, all the players, they killed everyone, and now they're wanting to go west, and I don't have anything to the west. Right, that changes stuff. Don't mind me reaching. I'm just turning up my fans. It's toasty in here, and I don't have the kind of money to just crank up the AC, so fan it goes. But I don't know. I just that was something that was kind of on my mind. I just wanted to address it. And I'm going to pretend like it's not an issue at all and just keep doing what I do. So today what I wanted to work on, because like I say, we started kind of working on our city a little bit, and we kind of ended last session yesterday with me just kind of goofing around, theoretically thinking about how I would go about making a map for this. And now I want to actually do it for real. So we're gonna pull out our map region. We're gonna start a new map here. So this is the usual size that we go for, right? Our 384 by 2160. That's usually the detail that I like for a more overworld map. It's pretty arbitrary how much detail you put in your maps. It's 100% up to your choice. I love making my maps as high fidelity as possible. That's just my preference, just because I think it's fun to be able to like zoom in very, very tightly and you know, see details and add stuff to that level. That's what I like to do, but it's really personal preference. But for this one, we're going to, because we're doing a city, I want it to be narrow in, and I don't want things to look as zoomed out as I would for an overall region. Otherwise, it's going to make our city look strange if we have this like highly detailed coastline, like, because that'll essentially make it so that's like the coastline is detailed down to the exact pebble, and it just kind of looks weird. So we're gonna reduce this quite a bit. I feel like last time we had done something around like if we do the ratio, I'm trying to think, we had done, it was like 520 was the narrowest that you could do. So I feel like if we do, I don't know, what kind of templates do they have here? This is like full HD, which is the 1080, right? 4K Ultra. You can do stuff like this. They have the pre-made ones, but honestly, I'm just gonna go with our narrowest. If I'm remembering it, looked okay to just do 520 by 520, because we're doing a city, so we can go ahead and let it just be kind of like rectangular in appearance. I don't know, this is all boring stuff. Probably no one cares about this. But damn it, I'm explaining the whole process. That's the point of this project. So here's our thing here. And now, anyone who's following along and interested in using the same tool as me, I'm using Wonderdraft here, which I love. I love this tool for map making. I've made some very beautiful maps that I'm quite proud of with this tool. But it's quirky and it takes some getting used to. One thing that definitely takes getting used to is the fact that this map, what we're looking at here, it's from the map making and using your tools and everything, it's assumed that this is all water. So we need to keep that in mind, and we need to first paint our land here. And so I guess it would be helpful. Let me pull up our region map here. Come on. There we go. So here's our region, right? This is our whole big region that we're looking at. And we are zooming in very specifically into our city here. So, you know, we want to kind of follow at least the similar contours of everything. So if we're pulling up now our blank one, so if we're going to follow the contours, and we don't need to devote a whole lot of space to the lake. This is a city, you know, a city map here, right? And so it kind of bumps out that way, and then our lake kind of goes there. So we can kind of do that, and then we got to paint in the rest of our, we can just make our brush ginormous here just to make it nice and quick to paint in the rest of our land. But so here's our land, and I'm immediately wondering if I'm immediately not a super huge fan of this size map. I want it wider. So we're going to Let's go to new, discard this, I don't want it. So our width, let's bump this up to, it's arbitrary, we can just make up, it's all digital, it doesn't really matter. I don't need it to fit a certain thing, but let's do like another, I don't know, another half of this. And that might look a little too wide, but let's give it a shot. So let's do another, so that would make it, what, 7, if it was half of 760. Let's see what that ends up looking like. And then if we zoom ourselves in here, now again, we gotta paint our land in. Alright, and so our coast kind of goes there, like bumps out a little bit there, and then it bumps out again. Right, and so then we do this. Yeah, that immediately looks much better to me. It's immediately so much better, so we can do that a little bit. Yeah, that looks much more rational for a map scale. I like that. So now, what's one thing that's really cool, and I kind of talked about this yesterday a little bit when I was goofing off at the end of the stream with this tool, but I'll go ahead and describe the tools again. Like I say, so if there's anyone who's trying to follow along and wants to use Wonderdraft for their own, DMing and world building and stuff like that, I can offer up some of the tips that I've just learned through experimenting. One of my favorite tools this map thing offers is the lower landmass and the raised landmass tools. Because what these do is this makes it a lot easier for us to kind of make a more realistic looking coastline, right? So we've got it roughens up the edges in what ends up looking like a much more natural way, because it adds sort of like a randomness filter to what your land masses are doing. I want to just do this a little bit more. And so it just makes it look better. I guess there's not really any other descriptions you need to add to it. It just makes it look better, because it makes these all look, like rather than those smooth lines that we had originally, which no coast really follows. It adds that detail. It adds that sort of roughness to it, and because it randomizes it, it ends up making these sort of jut outs and whatnot look quite pleasant, honestly. And so, like, if we're looking at a city scale too, if we're thinking about a city scale, just to give us an idea. Supposing like if we're thinking of modern day technology, right? Obviously, it's going to be like a medieval type of situation. But if we were thinking about modern day scales and stuff like that, just to give us an idea of what this looks like, on our size, if we're looking at this little area right here, I imagine that the scale is about, this area right here might have a complex of 5 adjacent condos or something like that. Those ones that are sort of like long and narrow. I can see like those fitting into there to be like beachfront condos. Like, that's the size we're looking at. This is not a massive city. This is not a massive city that we're working on, and it's just important. It's valuable to kind of keep our scale in mind as we're going about this. So it's like if I were to, excuse me, goodness, I'm very belchy right now. So I can pull up some symbol tools, right? And what we can do is just to give a perspective. Supposing we have like a little neighborhood, right? A little cluster of homes. I can imagine like the buildings would almost look to this scale, right? Like this would be almost a realistic scale for these homes. So that's the scale we're talking about. This is a small town of like maybe 500 or 600 people is what this town is supposed to be, given the history. And we'll kind of go over the history bit by bit as we go into it for anyone who's unfamiliar, but I don't want to sit here and spend a whole lot of time just reiterating it, since we're really just focusing on making the map here. So at any rate, so there's our thing. One thing I do want to do, just because I always think it makes things look nice, is I like to add little islands and stuff in water masses, right? I just think it makes it look a bit more visually appealing. It tends to be a bit more interesting that way. Actually, I'm going to do that and just connect it there. There we go. Just adds a little bit there. Probably won't even put anything out there. Maybe some rich asshole has a cottage over on the island or something like that. Like, that's big enough for a handful of homes. So it's like maybe all the super rich people would do that, but this town doesn't really have that demographic. Because this town, just to offer a little bit of context, again, I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but this town is one that was founded, meant to be sort of a newly established from nothing farming community that can service people who are much more removed from the larger cities that exist in this world. So it's entirely a farming community, and the people were paid quite handsomely for being willing to take the risk, because they're establishing this city in a very dangerous part of the world. But the point is that there isn't going to be like a super upper class ruling elite. So odds are there wouldn't be much going on there on that island. It's just sort of there. Like I say, just to make things look pretty. So we got all that kind of stuff going there. And so what's gonna be different about this map here, is I've been trying to think about how I wanted to do it, and I had kind of goofed around with using our regions tool here, border with inner opacity. If you make that a 0, and yeah, so it's like we can kind of border off regions here. And I had toyed with the idea of making these regions, but when I'm thinking about how I like to do maps, honestly, the thing for me is I like my maps to look stylistic. I don't want this to look 100% functional. I want it to just look pretty. I mean, look at the map that we made here, right? We've got a very, Tolkien-esque approach to making maps here, and I like the way this looks, and I want to keep it looking this way. I don't want to mar this with like all kinds of just weird city zoning things. It just doesn't fit the atmosphere that we're going for. You know what I mean? You know, like I'm trying to build a medieval thing, and people who have seen my streams before and hear me talk about DMing, I am 100% about atmosphere and setting and painting a picture for my players to enjoy. So I want to adhere more to this aesthetic. So what I think I want to do for this map is, rather than worrying about those, if I'm going to do regions, right, then we're going to make that border very narrow. We'll find a more natural color, and we'll just do that to cordon off areas like that, make it much more subtle. But I don't even know that I want to do that. I think instead what I would like to do is I'm going to take advantage of Microsoft's cool half-and-half system here. And so here we have our city page with the notes that goes in the OneNotes notebook. And what I'll eventually end up doing probably is incorporating a copy of the map into this page there, just so there's a copy ready, and then this will be like the original that I can then make printed off copies of or whatever to hand out to players if we're in person, or you just copy it and put it into Roll20 or Foundry or whatever tool you're using for online games. So it's like we've got our original there. And so instead what I think I'd rather do is just sort of start thinking about, making notes around here, and just kind of adding in little bits and labeling the important parts, and then just aesthetically adding other things in as necessary. So I'm gonna start off here. So we have the sort of map details. So we're whoops, that's not what I meant to do. So if we're talking about our city, right? So this is a template that I've made that helps me remember everything that we need to do. And so when I put region here, usually what I mean here is I like to break my cities into like sensible regions. So there's always like the market portion of town, there's the slums, there's the wealthy district, there's the trades district, yada 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 yada. I always do stuff like that. Almost the entirety of this city is going to be farming. That's what the city was founded for. It was for farming, so that way it could be self-sufficient, but also provide supplies for an expedition that keeps kind of expanding deeper into the wilds, the dangerous parts of the world, further away from the guarded, protected, walled-off cities. So this outpost city is kind of meant to do that. equipment to handle that kind of thing. So most of it is going to be just like farming district is what almost all of it is going to be. But I do want to also just kind of put in and initially brainstorm the other things that we're going to have here. There will be sort of we'll call it the political district. And that's where we're going to put things like our locations, just to kind of match what we got going on in the template here. So this is going to have places like the keep slash the guardhouse. It's going to have our town hall. I'm going to put that in quotations. I don't know that they would actually call it a town hall. They might do something. My music's a little loud. Okay, I will turn that volume down a little bit here. My mic has been shifty. I need to get a new one, but first I need to save up money. So that's part of the issue. Let me lower the music volume a bit. Let me know if that's a better balance once the music comes back. Because now we're in. Okay, there we go. Let me know if that's a better balance. Thank you, Xanderfell, for bringing that to my attention. It's hard for me to notice because I don't have my my feed going directly into my ears. Otherwise, it would end up with that weird thing where it's like people develop stutters. Like, have you ever done one of those experiments where it's like it'll play back your own voice, but like with a half-second delay or something like that, so that like it causes a stutter? I think part of it is my mic keeps bending away from my mouth, and I always have to keep this one kind of close. So if I just try and keep that a bit closer, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully that helps. If that's better, great. If not, let me know, and I'll keep tweaking it a little bit. But we'll get there. We'll get there, as always. Yeah, I don't know. I really just need to get a better mic setup is what it comes down to. But, like I say, set one thing at a time, and first I need money. But yeah, so for now, I'm going to just call this the town hall. I'll call it town hall for now. I don't know. I'll probably come up with a more stylistic title for it, but we'll call that. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it does, Xanderfell, is like it gets you feeling like you're interrupting yourself, and then you get distracted listening to yourself. But because it's like you saying your words but back at you, it like gets really distracting. There's something about the psychology of it. It's really messed up. And it to most people, it'll sort of like instill a stutter and make it difficult for them to speak. It's really funny. But yeah. So there's going to be like a keep, a guardhouse, town hall type of thing there. In the political district, district kind of needs a T there, doesn't it? Town hall. There might be some other things, but I'm not thinking of right now. So I want to do that. I also want to do the docks. Oops, we don't need to underline that. Wow. There we go. So this town, it's only a lake over here, right? It's not like the ocean or anything like that, but there would still be freshwater. It's a large lake, so there'd be some freshwater fisheries going on there, and that would be a valuable source of resources for the people. So we would have docks, and so I mean there would basically just be permanent locations. There'd basically just be various like fisheries and warehouses. There'll probably be a fish market involved here too. We'll do fish market there. Oops. I do want to underline that one though. Not for any particular reason other than I did it before and now I want to be consistent. It would look weird if some of the places were underlined and others weren't. So yeah, that's probably where they would put the fresh fish market. Because like we're talking about medieval times. So I mean, while there's arguably magic that could keep things frozen for the most part, like keeping the fish on ice as you transport them, into the fish market or something, into the markets wouldn't really be as much of a thing. So fish would likely be sold just like right there. So there's like fish market. There's probably a boat right there. Like that's where you would get boats and stuff made and repaired. let's see here. I don't know that I can think of anything else that would be at the docks off the top of my head. But then there would also be the trades. Oops, damn it. Ununderlined. There'd be like the trades slash market district. Oh yeah, that's a good point, Xander. It is kind of an interesting. It would be interesting to see what that type of experiment could say. You know, talking about the whole hearing back your own voice and whether you let yourself interrupt yourself. That'd be an interesting thing to see if there's like, see what kind of correlations are about your personality, about if you're the type that would interrupt or let yourself be interrupted. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's kind of a good point. But yeah, so we got the trades and market district, permanent locations here, and this is like in terms of action that the players are going to partake in at any given time. This is much more likely to be. This will be much more likely to be where players spend most of their time, right? Because this is where the shops are going to be and all that kind of stuff. And so like this is where we would put, and so you mostly just put in, and really what I'm doing is putting in, the staples that are going to be there, and we can always add more. As a hindsight to everything, that's a fair point. It's a fair point. So let's see here, permanent locations within the markets. We would definitely need like a blacksmith, of some sort. There would probably be like a leather worker slash tannery. There'd be general stores, probably alchemy shop of some sort. And the thing that's kind of fun about shops is you can really break them up as much as you want to, make as much or as little detail as you want to. I lean towards, when I'm making my campaigns, I lean towards trying to keep just like one major city that the players will be sticking to. And so because of that, I'm usually less afraid of adding a lot of shops and stuff in there. But the risk of adding a lot of unique shops as opposed to just doing like big catch-all, like the medieval version of big box shops, like the Walmart of D&D. The risk of doing a whole lot of like breaking things up into smaller shops is that's a lot of shopkeepers to kind of come up with. And if your players are the type like my players always tend to be, where they're like, oh, this is an NPC that's talking to us. What did you do? What kind of horrible things have you done? Or should we be suspicious of you? What are people doing of you? And they like try to turn every shopkeeper into like a main character. And so the more shopkeepers you have, the more characters you kind of have to like keep up unique voices and stuff for. So that's always like a risk. But because I tend to keep things pretty narrow to just one city, I tend to be a little less afraid of like having very unique characters within these shops and stuff. Let's see here. Fletcher, Apothecary, Herbalist, those are all good ones. I would probably lean towards having like the Apothecary and the Herbalist. I'd probably put those all just sort of in the alchemy shop and just do like a catch-all for that. The Fletcher is a good one. Sometimes what I'll do is instead of a blacksmith, I'll break that up into weaponsmith. Let's see here, weaponsmith. His name is Smith. They call him Weaponsmith because his hands are swords. I don't know. The weaponsmith. I guess I don't really know the actual proper way to write that, but it's whatever. I'll do weaponsmith and armorer. Yeah, there we go. So I'll do it that way. So that way you can put like a Fletcher, sword maker. You can put all of those kind of in one catch-all. And then the armorer can be like one person. And like a lot of times if you do the armorer, then you can kind of get rid of like the leather worker and stuff like that. So you can kind of, you can find different ways to break things up, and it just kind of turns into just get creative with Like, oh, why would this guy combine these two businesses? You know, it's like, why would, you know, why would you have, you know, a you know, like a, you know, it's like the effect of grocery stores also can serve as the liquor store in town and stuff like that. It's like you can kind of put like items together, because ultimately it doesn't matter as long as players can have whatever they want, whatever's necessary there. Well, yeah, no, Xander, you're 100% right in terms of realistically. I'm just talking about ease of DMing. You know, there's a certain amount of, like, you know, we try to balance realism and everything like that. And I always try to think about what are players thinking of when they want to go do stuff. You know, and typically speaking, a player is thinking about things. Your average player is going to think about things like, oh, I want weapons. Let's go see what the weapons shop has. And so that's why I just put like a weaponsmith together, even though you're absolutely right. A Fletcher would be ranged weapons, and a blacksmith would be more about like sword weapons and stuff like that. If you break it up this way, it's easier for players to be like, oh, I want some new weapons. Let me go shop around for that. It's like, okay, give them a one-stop shop for that. Oh, I want armor, you know, and like they're like, oh, you know, because players aren't going to be that interested in like, realistically, most players aren't going to be that interested in role-playing the actual shopping process of going to different all kinds of different shops. You know, it's like, oh, let's go to the leather armor shop and then get some prices, and then let's go role play all that all over again for the metal stuff. So just kind of bringing it up that way is just more about ease for players. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of the leather worker in the tannery and just have the armorer be one guy who like specializes in this town. Again, especially because it's a smaller town. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I'm gonna do it that way. Any shop names? Not at the moment, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. There will be shop names. It's very much a one, you know, baby steps at a time the way I write things. So we gonna get there. Don't you worry. I always like to try and come up with as many like puns as I can for shop names. So it will be an important part of all of this. So just kind of thinking about, you know, really what I'm trying to do is come up with a list so that way we can start now plopping some of these things down in here. And I think actually just because of the ease, we're going to go ahead and make this all big again. So let's get some symbols going on here. Alright, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and first put our keep here. And so I always like to go with a tool here just because it's a stylistic preference. I always like to find, they've got all these ones. They look white, but they're like actually meant to be like unfilled. It's just line work. And I always think that just kind of looks pretty and ends up looking pretty good on these maps. So for our keep, it's kind of arbitrary. We're going to take one of these, right? You know, thinking about the size of the keep. Maybe we'll put this like right there or something like that. I don't know. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. But if we put the keep there and then let's put a label. Put a label here. Let's do, oh jeez, it's way too big. Font size. Can we get our font size smaller? Let's make it 20, I guess. Oops. Dang it. Keep. There we go. And we'll just put that right there, and we'll probably rename all of these. I actually kind of want the font size to be smaller. I'm a little worried about how low fidelity that's getting at that point in time. Whoops, I did not mean to add a bunch of spaces to my font size there. Let's see. Screaming Barleyman, that's good. Greg's nailing the kink. Okay, alright. Let's see here. A lot of the names for the cities are going to come about too, how important we want to make the shopkeepers and everything, because a lot of times I'll also just use like a person's name and like kind of do the whole like blah 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 in Sons, you know. If we narrow down our thing, that looks okay. So there's our keep. Let's go ahead and then in that same area, right, because we wanted to do it by district, let's go ahead and add in another building that could kind of serve as maybe our town hall of sorts. I don't know which of these looks particularly town hall-esque. Are there more you could use? There's like ruins, rocks, and stuff. No, that's not. That's leaving the aesthetic that we want here. I don't know. I guess it's kind of arbitrary. Maybe we can do this one with like the bell tower and put that like over there. And we can go with another label here. And do town hall. Do something like that. Blop blop. Oops, nope, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, I wanted to. Oh, we gotta go to our symbols. See, this is what I mean, where it's like it gets kind of clunky. It doesn't have just like a default grab and move. And so you can put like the town hall up there, something like that. And this is far from what it's gonna look like finally. But we're starting to just kind of, as I always talk about with my method, I tend to spew on the page and then edit. That's the easiest way I've found to convince myself to get momentum going in whatever I'm trying to create, whatever I'm trying to write, is to just start plopping stuff down and go from there. You know, and you edit it as you go rather than trying to get it perfect the first time. Because if you try to get it perfect the first time, that's when the whole writer's block, analysis paralysis type of stuff starts really seeping in. Is if you're trying to figure out how exactly to make things perfect from the get-go. It's a lot easier to get that momentum going and keep it going if you plop crap down and then move it until you got it where you want it. Let's see here. So, got that. One thing I was thinking of, this place doesn't really have, the city doesn't have much in the way of like walls, but this is meant to be a very dangerous world, being out here in the wilds. So I just kind of want to stylistically just kind of like put in like a couple guard towers that would be around, particularly from the south, because if we're looking at our region here, we can see like they're kind of tucked into the mountains here a little bit and a little out of the way coming up here, but then down here there's a lot of open space that all kinds of monsters and stuff from the wilds can go in. So I want to keep that in mind when we're talking about stuff. So there'd be like a couple watchtowers around, I would imagine. I don't even know if we need that many though, actually. I kind of want to just get rid of that one and just do those two, like a couple watchtowers. Stylistically also, I would actually like to add in some of our mountains. And the mountains can be nice and big, right? Because these guys, this whole thing is like on the foothills of the mountains. So we're just gonna put in, you know, a couple mountainous bits kind of coming around here. Let's see, pull that over so we can boom, do like that. We're just gonna give me the one mountain the whole time. There we go. And so you do stuff like that. So now that kind of gives us our sense of it being tucked up and into the mountains there, right? So now we're starting to get a little bit of the appearance we're looking for, a little bit more of that going on here. And so I'm thinking too, so we mentioned the farming district. So let's go ahead and go back up here. And let's see so we've got a lot of farming plots and stuff. And so for the sake of, you know, styles and everything, we can add in some different farming patches, right? We can just do, if we do like that, and then those do not fit in with each other well. I guess we'll just do this. Right, so you can kind of have some farmland type of stuff plopped in here and there. Do stuff like that. Maybe there's like a farm up there. Right, just trying to add in a little bit of stuff. Actually, you know what? I don't like that. I don't like that. You see, and like here's what I'm talking about. Plop stuff down and get rid of the stuff you don't like. So I'm not quite sure I like that. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Let's see here. Nick and Knackeries. Yeah, I mean that one's That one's definitely one of the more obvious pun ones, which I appreciate every time. I love myself a good pun in a title. But yeah, no, backstories for any shops in this city are going to be easy because this city is meant to be one that is like I say, it's a new city. Like this is the first generation within this city. It was like founded, you know, a year ago. So this is a brand new town city. It was a project city where people were given, they basically were contracted. That kind of looks a bit more like what I'm imagining for my stuff. If we do stuff like that, and then maybe plop down like a little farmhouse here and there, just for the sake of styles there. But yeah, no, this city, all of them are pretty much going to be first generation. You know, it was founded by so and so, you know, with the help of their yada yada, and so backstories I'm not super worried about for this area. But yeah, it's like you do stuff like that. Grab a little farmhouse that goes like right there, something like that. So we can just kind of like build just for the sake of appearance, right? We can kind of build stuff like this. Oh wow, that one's like already ready-made, right? Maybe that one goes over there. Just do stuff like that, just to make it look pretty, right? Because like, what's the point of putting in this effort if we're not gonna make it kind of fun and pleasant to look at, right? And so then for like different districts, you know, and stuff like that, you can add little like outcroppings of houses and stuff like that. And what we can do actually here is, what I'm thinking is, let's get our scale about right. I guess that looks about right if we do that for our houses and stuff. So you can do like one of those ones there, and we can just kind of bounce in between, you know, like our different building collections. You know, do stuff like that. Grab one of these and kind of fill it there, right? And so we can just kind of fill in our city a bit. And this is already starting to look nice and kind of clustered and crowded, right? So we're kind of building our city. This doesn't look too bad. I'm not too disappointed with this as it is right now. Tuck those in right there. You know, you just kind of do that, and it's like, it doesn't look perfect because we're using pre-made graphics and stuff, but it's like, you just do stuff like that, and it all kind of starts, and it kind of all fits in together. And it starts kind of giving us this sense of a city that's been put together. We can do that. And then, let me just see here. I know there's other, what am I looking for here? Oh yeah, it's other stuff further down. And then like if we wanted to add a bit more, you know, customization to it, you add a couple of those in there. You know, maybe put one of these right there. Just add like little bits like that tucked into places, and that's the beauty of this tool, is it ends up kind of, you know, making things look, you know, kind of nice. You know, maybe we can go ahead and add another farmhouse right there. Come up and get a couple of our farm patches. You know, and like we can do a farm patch like that and that, or something like that. So we've got another little farm in place there. What else is available? Screaming Barleyman could be the owner's yeller. Barley makes his own ale and likely isn't the nicest guy around. I was thinking that it's just a guy who, it's called the Screaming Barleyman because it's it makes you scream and drunk, and they just have the hardest liquor in town. That's all I was thinking. I think you're on the right track, though. Definitely not a whole lot to it. But like I say, I think the thing is, too, you don't even necessarily need to come up with a detailed history for all of them, just because... Hold on a second. I want to re-put that one down and see if we can get that one to be more over top. Wait, crap. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. See if I can get those trees to like rest more on top. I guess not. So we're just gonna move it to be like right there or something. Yeah, see, I don't know. I still don't even really like the way these farms kind of look out there. They just look kind of weird. I'm gonna get rid of these. I don't like the way that's looking. We can just assume that this is all farmland out here, right? Do stuff like that. And actually, these ones, just the aesthetic, I changed my mind. I don't like the aesthetic of these ones. They just look a little too different than everything else we're putting down. Everything else has much finer lines, and those ones have really thick lines. And I don't like the way those kind of all clash with each other. So we'll just stick with these. Just stick with these. No, come on. Give me what I'm looking for here. Right, and we can just like fill in the gaps with these ones there. Yeah, that looks better. And then I kind of, because we've got our docks and stuff that go there, I actually kind of want our city to, I'm going to put that there. We're going to put a couple more. If we do that, I kind of want the city itself to kind of end up extending out a little bit further, closer to the coastline there. Yeah, you do stuff like that. Tug that a little bit right there. Want to put one right there too. Fill that in a little bit. Yeah, actually, I like that. Oh, that looks a little too crowded. I think I overlapped a little too much on that one there. If we put. I want to grab some of these smaller buildings and just kind of fill in a little bit high. Actually, maybe we can just do one of these and fill in a little bit more up towards the town hall and keep it. They look kind of strange being that isolated there. And actually, you know what I want to do? I kind of want to get rid of these labels for the moment. I don't actually like the way those are there. I feel like those were a little too intrusive the way they were, so I might have to come up with a different way to label things. But if we do this, and then let's go back to our symbols here. And so you can see I'm taking my time with this for sure. But to me, this is an important aspect of building my world, is having these sort of like very realistic, not realistic, but like immersive and involved and stylistic components to a campaign, right? Because these are the types of things that, you know, you can present to your players, and it offers that aesthetic that they'll be interested in, and they'll have fun you know, looking at and interacting with. So it's like we establish our city here, and then maybe what we can do is then have, you know, like little like, you know, a couple more dispersed housing collections outwards a little bit there, and it just kind of gets more dense towards our city center. Maybe we can put that right there. Put that stuff right there. So it's like, here's our city a little bit here. And so I kind of like the way this is looking. I do want to grab this and see if we can make that a bit smaller. And you know what I want to do? Tuck our keep and our town hall a bit more into the city there. And so, oh, geez, you got a history here. Banshee Bar. History where the owner had to deal with the Banshee, entered the bar. This thing was slain by a passing hero. He kept the name and tells people of how he got the name. It used it to be called Bill's. He used to be called Bill's Drinker Home. Since he changed his name, he's got more patrons. Yeah, no, I like that. I probably won't use it actually though for that one. That sounds. That's first off, it's all yours, and second off, that's definitely got a much more that's a much more storied history than probably what the age of this particular city would have. Because this city, like I described, is much newer, much younger of a city. They wouldn't have had a whole lot of time for a Banshee to come in. That's an interesting history. I like it. I don't know if I actually want that one. Let's see here. So let's get rid of that here. So here we've got our city here, right? And so this actually, to me, looks a realistic amount of density for, you know, our 500-person village of sorts. This mic, man, I don't know why it's being so stubborn and trying so hard to bend away from me here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, you zoom out a little bit. I want to bring that a bit closer. Right, so there's our guard tower, and actually it would make more sense for the guard towers to be placed kind of like that. Although actually I do want that one further down because there's got to be plenty of farmland is the idea here. So never mind, we're going to move these back further down. Because that's all farmland there, right? So if we do farmland, the docks are up there. Docks are up there. There's our political. I got to see what everything we have. Political docks. You know, and then the trade market would probably just extend from the docks. So, like, that's going to be all trade market and stuff there. And the farming district and then the political is there. And the rest of it is just, like, housing for people, right? Just, like, non-specific things there. Bits to play with goofy and ridiculous beginnings for businesses. Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. It's always fun having, like, a business that has its own history and stuff like that. I definitely get into those kinds of details. I feel you completely on that one. I kind of want this one to be more like there. I kind of want this to just have a bit more of a extended out from the main city feel. So I think I want to do that. And then grab one more. I just want to grab one more. Just give me one more. Actually, yeah, that works. Just do that. Extends out from the city. So we've got a little bit more going on there as it extends then further into farmland. Let's see here. Have a couple mines. Eventually they would. Again, brand new city. They probably haven't gotten a whole lot of mining activity going. We could plop down one or two. We could put down, you know, plop down a little bit of like a one mine entrance like up there or something like that. Put one of these like over there. Actually want that even smaller. Do stuff like that there. Put them in there for some stylistic stuff there. The mountains, actually, there is a lot to do in the mountains with this campaign. But that's going to... Oops, wrong one. Come on. This is the one right here. The mountains have a Duergar sort of kingdom that they've taken over, an old dwarven kingdom that exists in these mountains. So there would be stuff in there, but it's going to be further south of where the city is up there. There, work as an incentive for a city. In a lot of situations, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That would be a good incentive. We've kind of already established why this city has been placed here. Like I say, so we've got, we have an expedition that's going out here, but the furthest city is like a month of travel north of here. So this city was established here to be able to provide farming, so that they could provide like resources and rations and all that kind of stuff for this expedition as it continues down into sort of this unknown portion of the wilds. So it's not really here to be a mining city. There would probably eventually be some efforts there, but really it was tucked up here because the mountains would offer protection from any sort of dangers that could come in from this large open plains area. Which again, in this world, there would be there's the mountains hold their own dangers and stuff like that. But this town actually wasn't set up in particular to be a mining city. It's more so like any blacksmith operations here are much more likely to be repair shops, because that would be a more realistic approach. Since this is just sort of an expedition going out here, they're not really using weapons a whole lot, so they're not trying to make a whole lot of new things that would require freshly mined resources. But you're absolutely right. As a general rule, it would make perfect sense for mountains to be, you know, a good source of mined minerals and stuff like that for a city. That's a perfectly usable approach. It just doesn't jive quite as much with what's already been created for this campaign. But definitely a good thought. 100% a good thought. We can come in here. So, let's bring our city up here again. So yeah, so here's our city. Let's see here. The voice and lips are out of sync. Huh? Yeah, I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. I think that's got to be a buffering thing. I'm not showing any frame drops. So it must be just a buffering thing. I don't know if it's on my end or your end. No idea what to do about that one. Let's see here. So we've got kind of an appearance. I don't want it to be that gargantuan. I don't know that I like it being that huge, the keep. Unless that isn't like an out of place size for the keep. Kind of want to plop that there. I guess it's not terrible. I don't know. I wish there was a size in between. It's such a huge jump. It's such a huge jump going from there to there. I wish there was some scale, some way to scale it in between those. Let me just see something here. Let's just grab and let me see if I can, by putting a fresh one down, fine tune our scale a little bit more here. Yeah, see, like that. I feel like that's, yeah, like it was bouncing between that and that, but I feel like this is a bit more. We can do 15. So I want to, well, let me do like a 17. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I want this to stand out more. I want this to be, I want that to be more prominent. Because what the way this is going is I'm thinking this city is going to have not a whole lot of labels going on. What might end up coming in handy here. Let me try something here. Let's go to our regions area. Let's do ... color. I just want the color to be black. You know, just like a standard black there. And so we can kind of, I wonder if we can just like, it's almost too, that's almost, yeah, oh, I see. We want to border width, color. Figure this out. We'll figure this out. We'll get something going here. I don't want the inner opacity there. I want the outer opacity to be the border opacity. There we go. I guess it was just a matter of picking the right line here. So yeah, if we do this here, map marker, shapes for making where shops are and stuff like that. Yeah, if we're trying to go functionality wise, that can definitely be an option. What I'm hesitant about though is, like I say, I like trying to make my maps look like there's a balance between visual and functionality, and the thing about it too is this map is unlikely to need exact locations of stuff, you know, like I want to delineate districts to a certain degree, you know, and that's why I'm trying to experiment here with our little bordering stuff, because I want there to be some degree of stuff there, but I kind of want to leave it at just marking where there's like specific regions, and then letting like the detailed places and stuff like that just be assumed to be in those regions, because I'm unlikely to have players have to be like scaled, and it's unlikely to matter exactly the route they walk through town to get to the places. This is more about giving them a visual aid so they can kind of understand the feel and the size of the town. So using shape markers is a really handy tool for sure. But I don't know if it has a place in this map. And I don't like the way that looks. I honestly just wonder if I can do some labels here. Let me just try something here. Let's go ahead and go with our Bilbo, of course. I mean, what else would you do? What else would you do? Font color. I want to do... Let me just see something. Let's make the font just like solid black here for this one. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and get rid of that one here. Let's try doing the docks, right? And let's make this a little bit bigger. And then I'm trying to see if I can't get just some labels there to just kind of stylistically point out areas and have them be visually striking enough over top of all of these things. It's kind of what I'm trying to achieve here. Let's see, what did the box tool do? I wonder if something like this would be okay. If you do that, and make it smaller. Wait, so it's no. Why can I not grab? There we go. That's what I was trying to do. All right, and then if we take, that's okay. You know what? Forget it. Forget it. We'll just start fresh. Let's see here. Let's make our curvature at 0. Put that right there. So let's make our font size a bit smaller here. Let's just say, oops, here. Let's see. Let's do the docks. Right, so we can do that. Oh, game. Grab a box tool. Shrink that one down. And grab our grab tool. Can we grab both of them at the same time? Okay, so, but if we do like that and then grab that and put it there, we can kind of make something a little stylistic that way. That's not terrible. It's not terrible. Let's see here. Roads might be a bad idea. Make them very unorganized, like traffic some areas. No, I know exactly what you mean. You don't want to make it too grid-like if you want to make it look realistic. Especially for a city like this, roads tend to be paths of desire, not paths of organization. It's kind of it's similar to the fact that districts might not always make sense where they're lined up. Oh, there we go. I like that. I wish I could make the letters a bit more, the lettering a bit more striking here. Yeah, golly, just like the only thing to do, try and make it sharper, is just like make it bigger. And it's just low fidelity is the thing. But yeah, no, with roads, 100% you're correct. They're, like I say, they're more about paths of desire, so they're not likely to be. I actually kind of want this to come up over here. Dang it, I always do that. I keep trying to grab the box and just placing it on the label. There we go. So if we do the docks up there, then it's just kind of like known that the docks go along there. Yeah. Pathways are more about paths of desire, especially when we're talking about medieval situations, because they don't really have the means to excavate and force a road to go in a straight line. So it's very much just about what ends up being the most convenient walk, going around this particularly high point in the city, right? If there's a couple there's like some houses that are on top of a hill, people will go around it, even if like as the crow flies, it would be more direct to go right through the hill and stuff like that. Yeah, that would totally be the case, for sure, if you're adding roads and stuff into a map. I honestly kind of like the look of this though, without putting in the roads. And I think, let's see here. So let's put over here. Let's do market district. Right. So we'll do that, and then let's get our box tool. Get ourselves a box right there. Right, and you can put like labels. Maybe what we can do is just put that up there. Oops. Just grab it this way and bring that up there. First off, that one a bit more placed a bit more pleasing market district. I want to make our box a little bit bigger. Can kind of do that right there. Let's see here. We need to do, and actually what I'm going to do is we're going to just do the keep. Put that right there. Let's get ourselves a box. Do that. And actually, I kind of want that to go down like right there. Come on. Get it in there. There we go. I think that's good. I think that looks all right. And then what we can do for our last one then is let's do farming district. Do that, get our box tool. Oh, what on earth are you doing? I said box tool. Goofy program, you. Let's make it just a little bit bigger like that. And move that right there. So then so there we go. So that kind of gives us our sense of where things are located. And that doesn't look too, city planner to me. I think that looks okay. I like the way that looks. I'm not to any of these. Whoa, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Just want to look and see what any of these other ones. Oh, that's not bad. I wish it wasn't forcing it to be like that. I don't understand why why some of them are forced to be so huge. But in general, I like that. I think that looks okay. It's not. I don't know. I might come back to it. I might come back to this and decide to do something different. Truth be told, I'm not 100% convinced that this is what the final product is going to stay forever. But for our purposes, for now, I think that meets our needs. I actually want to move farming district now more like down here. Oops. I'll move this label down over here. Yeah, I think that looks good. Let's see. Let's take a peek here. Just kind of soaking it in here. The one I don't like is the keep. I don't like that. I don't like that label just sitting over top of the houses. I think it looks silly. Let me try something. I'm going to try something here. Let's grab this. Let's just tuck the keep up over there. Let's grab then our label. If we put that up there. Put that right there. If we do that, and then just for the sake, because the market district is really supposed to be all up and down here, and the docks are all up and down there, and I think that's easy enough to infer from what it is, and if not, it'd be very quick and easy to explain that to players. But maybe if we do... That's getting there. That's better. That's better. I actually like that much better. There's the keep right there. Let's go with our symbols here a minute. First off, we need to... Now we got a big old gap. Got a big old gap going on here. What am I looking for? Where's the crap that I'm looking for? I must have passed it. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. There we go. Just fill in that little gap there. And then actually what I want to do... Get rid of this one here. Let me try that. Try doing that. Okay, we're getting close to something here. That right there. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, I do like that better. I do like that much better. I think that looks much more pleasing to the eyes. Right, and so it's like understood that up here is like, you know, because what I'm trying to establish here is just sort of like a generalized feeling of like, if someone were to have in that time hand-drawn a map to provide to people, what would it look like? And I think they would have like a couple major things like this labeled there. If you could do everything by hand and have an infinite number of things based on you know, if you just based on what they would you know, what it would end up looking like if someone did it by hand. You know, and like if you're doing stuff by hand, it'd be easier. You'd have an infinite number of, you know, resources. But as it stands, we are using a program, so we're kind of limited. We'll just make that over there more so. I'm wondering if it'll just look a little bit better. Let me try something here. Do some symbols. If we grab like a couple up and just like do. We just do kind of like this, you know, dot a couple more around like that. I think that makes it look a little bit better. And actually, you know what I would like to do as well? Like to just kind of like maybe put a couple more sets of buildings up like that or something like that. There we go. There we go. There. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm comfortable with this. I'm comfortable with the way this looks. I like this. I think this looks good. This meets the standards that I'm like trying to hold for myself here. You whispered me what the roads feel like. You should look on my page. I've got a Discord server. You should think about joining that. Because we have little chat groups and stuff. I'm trying to build a Discord that has like chat groups for people to share like homebrew and D&D discussions and ideas and stuff. You should think about joining up so you can share it there with everyone too. But thank you, I appreciate that. There we go. Okay. Okay, I like this. I like this. I do. I actually genuinely like this. The only thing I'm wondering, let me go up here. They probably don't have that kind of looks like a dock. I'm wondering if we can just like, hold on, I want to try something here. I want to try something. It's as small as it gets, but I want to just see if we do that. Like if we do, isn't there like a way for me to? I wish there was like a way for me to rotate these a bit more. What does that look like as you zoom out? It'll do like a mirror. I swear there's a way to like rotate them. Color set. Man, I wonder if it's from grabbing. Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of using Dungeon Draft. Dungeon Draft, they have abilities to just like rotate singular discrete things as opposed to just like mirror imaging them. But we can do like if we do just some like just a few docks like this, then it can kind of invoke that sense of, you know, of docks coming off there. It's not perfectly smooth. I don't know that I'm 100% in love with the way it is right now. I just wonder if like maybe one of these would look better. I don't know that I like that better, honestly. Put those, I don't know, I just don't like the way that those just sort of like abruptly sit there. Let me try those curved ones again. All a matter of trial and error, figuring out exactly what ends up looking like, you know, the aesthetic you're after. Put something like that right there. That right there. Just do stuff like that. I guess actually I take it back. I guess that looks okay. I like that look a little bit better, I guess. So there we go. There we go. Alright, I like this. I like that. I like having those little docks there. I think that looks a little bit better. Hey, thanks for the follow, Xander. I appreciate that. Glad you're here. Yeah. Okay, I like that. I like that. I can jive with that. I can roll with that. I think that looks good. I think for something that we threw together in like an hour, I think this looks pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with this. The only other thing that I want to do, and this is just a stylistic preference, I always prefer to have some form of compass rose on my maps, just in a corner, like a compass rose, combined with like a little scale. So if we do that there, and then we can do an overlay. We do one of these things here. And then we can, let's see here. Segment distance, definitely not going to be 100 miles. Segment, well, let's see here. What we can do actually first is, let's just put ourselves, how do we create? That's what I'm looking for there. Woo! That's big. Can I scale this down? How do I make this smaller? Good Lord. Ah, here we go. This is what we're looking for. Width, like, I'm looking for like, what happens if we do 25? If we do even, I want it even. 64 is the lowest you can go. It's the lowest we can go for the height. Oh, let me go. So segment distance for that is like, I wonder if we can do segments. Oh, here we go. If we just do like one segment there, I feel like each segment is like a mile. Like this is actually a mile would make this still like a pretty substantial town, truthfully. But if we just do 1 mile, yeah, because like that, even if we do that, like 1 mile, that ends up being like a house is like a 1/4 mile long. It's a little intense. I don't know. Maybe we won't worry about. Maybe we won't worry about that for this one, and instead we'll just take our. Let's go to our symbols here. It's less important. Truthfully, it is less important. To have something like that. Actually, I wonder if I don't want it to go behind the mountain. What on earth? Put it there. I don't know. I feel like that corner is better. I wonder if I can just change what layer it's part of. Here we go. Auto management obviously on. This one needs to go. How do I control what layer this thing is part of? Let's see here. Yeah, I'll definitely check the whispers. I'll do that. I'm not gonna do it right now. I don't actually have Twitch itself pulled up. I just to make sure I have as few resources running on my computer at a time as possible. Right. Oh, here we go. That's what I'm looking for. Just put that at the top layer. Now the trick is to try and find a place where you can still see all of like the letters. Try and find a good placement so that you can still see everything. I don't know. I guess I don't like that. Now that I'm looking at it, I guess I changed my mind. Yeah, you know what? We don't need a compass rose. Forget it. It's just a city. I think that looks just fine the way it is there. Yeah. See, I like that. I like that quite a bit. I actually think that looks like a very pleasant map, and I think it fits the generalized style of like the way the way I've kind of gotten a lot of my stuff going. Usually, you can see I usually do my labels differently, but when we're working with a, and see here here's what I usually mean by I like having that compass rose. I think that adds a bit to a map there, but I guess it's less imperative for a city map. But yeah, typically speaking, I do my labels differently, but I think the city, the nature of it, calls for it to be a little different. let's see here. Let me just do something real quick. Sorry. As always, I've got like seven balls in the air that I'm juggling. Such is my life. There we go. There. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, definitely. I very much recommend Wonder Draft. I think it's a wonderful tool. I've definitely grown quite fond of using this. The other thing too is if you are a DM and you run online games, consider using Foundry. And if you do use Foundry, like I do, pair it with the sister program to Wonder Draft here, which is Dungeon Draft, because their Dungeon Draft makes maps designed to be interactive with Foundry. So it has dynamic lighting, dynamic fog of war, dynamic line of sight, and stuff like that. That's just sort of like automatically, when you put it on the map, it automatically transfers it to Foundry. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing, and I highly recommend it always. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's a great tool. It's a great tool, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, making mountains is difficult for sure. Trying to get mountains to look good, it's a challenge. Like, I remember, talking about this mountain range. I generally like the way this looks. I think this looks good. It's not perfect, but I like the way this mountain range looks. It took me so many tries to get this right. It took me so many tries to get this to look how I wanted it to look, and to get it to look, a way that I felt was good and functional and something that I could live with. Same goes for, I'll pull up my whole world map here. It's got a lot of assets it has to load up. Boom, my world map. See, even these mountains, I'm not actually 100% in love with the mountains the way they are in here, but it's the best I could end up getting it to do. Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I'm all in all satisfied with it. I don't know, something about these, even to my own eye, like these ones especially. I don't like the way the color is kind of off and goofy, but it was the best way I could do it to make them like kind of visually striking compared to the rest of the map on here. Because I wanted different regions to have different appearances based on the climate, and the mountains, being all stony and stuff, I didn't want them to look the same as the plains and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with it here, but it took a lot of work. And like I say, it took a lot of commitment to the methodology that I always talk about, which is plaster stuff down, whether it's writing or map making. Just plop a bunch of stuff down and then edit it. It's a lot easier to get yourself to your intended vision by starting off with something and then tweaking it to get it closer and closer to what you're after. Because if you try to make things perfect the first time, you'll get stuck constantly deleting and restarting. So just throw down a bunch of crap, right? Just throw down a whole bunch of crap and then make tweaks and edits, right? Until you end up with exactly what you're looking for. Like with this, we kind of started off just throwing crap down, and then we slowly edited it until here we are at what looks like a pretty decent final draft of like a city map of sorts, that I'm pretty content with. I'm pretty content with how this panned out, all things considered. Although, okay, again, adding, making small tweaks, adding little things here and there. Where did our docks go? I want to take one more dock. I want to put one more dock maybe like down here. There we go. I just want to put one more little guy down there. I think that looks good. I like that. And actually, I was scanning through. I want to try something. Just want to experiment. I'm going to see if it adds anything. to our map. These are so small, I don't know that this is going to be like a significant improvement to things, truthfully. I don't know if I care about that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it adds anything. I don't want to put those there. They just kind of, they feel forced to me. And I don't like that. I don't like it. So we get rid of it. And we just keep what we like, and we make small edits and all that kind of stuff. One thing I really like actually is the way the mountains kind of turned out in this one. I think this was clever. I think having done this around there was clever, and I think it does a really good job of enclosing the city in and making it feel almost like framed. I think this looks really good here. I really like this. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the part that I'm really pleased with, because beforehand it felt really open, and it felt weird that the city would just like stop there. But yeah, doing it this way, it kind of frames everything in nicely, and I think that adds a lot to the aesthetic appeal there. So I like that. I like that quite a bit. Awesome. Awesome. All right, so we got a map. Now we can just start thinking about, adding in some details to things. So again, I've got my template here, right? And so I'm a big fan of using templates. I think it does wonders. I think it does wonders for a lot of stuff. For trying to get yourself focused and remembering what you should be creating for, the sake of world building and or writing a campaign. I think having templates is like taking the time to sort of make templates for myself, so that I always made sure to add in the details that I wanted to have. Discord. I see that you're adding stuff there into the Discord. I appreciate that. That's what it's for. I just wish Discord wouldn't throw up all of the all of the things while I'm in the middle of the stream. Give me the stuff later. There must be a way I can change the settings for that. It's like when Steam starts like throwing up the notifications for when a friend starts playing a game. It's like, I guess thanks Steam, but also like I wasn't really looking for that right now. Poor timing. But no, I appreciate that you're participating. I love that. I think that's fantastic. I really appreciate that. Yeah. So adding the details and stuff in here goes hand in hand with the map, and once I eventually save and format the map properly, and I'll do that after stream, you guys don't need to see me sitting there doing file management crap, but we'll add a copy of the map like right here, so that you can see all the stuff right, in detail as it is. So for the general atmosphere here, so actually, you know what I want to do? I'm just going to, so I don't forget to add stuff when I need to. I should have just copied and pasted it before. General atmosphere, and then actually, here's what we can do. Do that. Boom. A little clumsy, but boom. And then da-da-da-da-da. There we go. All right, so we got that part, and so then I'll just need to put down. Oops, nope. Do that. General atmosphere, because I don't want to accidentally forget to put anything in any of these sections. So it's just it's worth it to put these little notes in there right now. Yeah, atmosphere. There we go. It's handy to put those things right at the outset, so I don't forget and then wonder why I don't have the same stuff that I'm looking for all of them. So farming district, general atmosphere, and so I always like to put a general atmosphere. Why am I doing that? I don't need to do that here. I always like to put a little note about the general atmosphere for what is going on in any part of a town. So that way, if I have to improv an NPC, at any point and they're like, I know they're in the farming district, it's a lot easier for me to just kind of quickly off the top of my head be like, it's you encounter this person and they're this way. So the farming district here, so the general atmosphere of the farming district, we're talking about a city that is like really built primarily for the farming district and everything. Oh gosh, my back is stiff. My apologies. One idea for each shop, think of the clerk owner, situation dinner. When you come back to it, you'll have a reminder for. 100%. Actually, what I do with if we're talking about templates, I have an entire template for shops that includes the owner. So that's definitely something that I'll do. But that comes into play when we start making the individual shops. All we're doing right now is doing the Cliff Notes versions, and then we will get to adding the details for it. So you are absolutely right. I will do stuff like that. I do stuff like that all the time. But one step at a time. One step at a time. So for the farming district, the general atmosphere around here, these are people who they're content with their like they chose this, right? So like they were the people. I'm actually gonna just write this down again. Spew stuff down. Stream of consciousness. I do this all the time with writing. On the streams, you can see it on any of the streams. I just sort of stream of consciousness it and kind of find my way and then edit things as I need to. So we'll say the people of the city chose this life. They were offered money and land of their own in exchange for the I don't know why, but I don't like it when the menu's just sitting there. OneNote. Yes, 100% OneNote. I love using OneNote for for organizing everything. It's not perfect, certainly. There are plenty of things that I wish OneNote was better at, but of all of the tools that exist for managing an entire like world building project, I absolutely use OneNote. Buyer built-in. I pay for a Microsoft account because I use Word and PowerPoint and Excel all for different parts of my life and stuff like that, so I pay for it. But I think OneNote comes as a baseline. I think OneNote actually does come with like Windows 10, or at least the web-based version of it. So I use the Microsoft 365 thing. Like I pay for that subscription because I need it for other parts of my life as well as this. But yeah, I think OneNote just comes as a baseline with Windows 10. I don't know. It's hard to tell because they add so many more things to being like subscription-based components of their Microsoft Office suite and all that kind of stuff. But let's see here. So they are offered money and land of their own in exchange for the risks involved in helping to establish this town. They are hard workers without much humor, but are happy with their lives and have little to be bitter about. They are welcoming to travelers and neighborly to one another. So it's like this, I really want this city to feel like a safe haven for the players, because the rest of this region is certainly meant to be a very uninviting place, a very hostile location, and so I really want the nature of this city to feel like one where they can go in and there's not inherently going to be dangers or conflict or anything like that. Like, this is the breather for them, because out in the rest of the region, right, when they're out in the wilds, they're kind of constantly in harm's way. That's just the way the world's built. So I like this. I like the idea of this town being one in which the people as a baseline aren't going to be mean. There's certainly going to be mean individuals, and there's going to be the opportunity for them to be in conflict with anyone in the city. But as a baseline, just sort of walking around in it, I want kindness to kind of be the atmosphere. So yeah, so I think that's really all we need. We're just kind of doing cliff notes here, for the sake of prettying things up. We're gonna get rid of that. I have not decided what mission hooks or random events will necessarily be present in here. I haven't thought about that kind of stuff yet, and that's stuff that'll come in later. That's stuff that will come at some point in time, but I'm not gonna worry about it yet. It's just, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Things in due time. Like I say, it's nice to be able to think about things. It's nice to be able to do things like stepwise, and be able to ponder them and take your time with it. Gotta sign in just gives you an error code. Are you talking about OneNote? Just trying to sign in on your computer. I'm not a OneNote expert. I'll tell you right now. I know how to use it, but in terms of if it's giving you error codes and stuff like that, don't come to me. Don't come to me. I will not be able to help you. Like, if I can be sitting there looking at something, I can puzzle through most computer-based issues on my own. But in terms of directing and helping other people, no. I need to sit down and be able to do it. So I can't help you there. I can't help you on that one, unfortunately. Okay, so let's see. The political district that has like the town hall and the guardhouse. There is a very serious. I want to say there's a very serious air about this part of town. Not necessarily mean, but it is a very military-esque place. Due to the constant efforts by the guard and city leaders to keep the citizens safe from the ever-present dangers of the wilds. Due to the constant efforts by guards, ever-present dangers of the wilds. What am I trying to say here? To the constant efforts. Yeah, exactly. This is world writing, not Geek Squad. Oh man, I appreciate your understanding. I'm just trying to stay in my lane, is all. Last thing I'd want to do is make something worse for someone because I try to pretend I know more than I do. I know when to call. I know when to throw in the flag. Let's see here. Due to the constant efforts by the guard and the city leaders to keep the citizens safe, there isn't much free time for. My goodness gracious. There we go. There's not much free time for the people working here actually much for the people working here. Everyone has a job to do and a reason to do it. That said, most will be helpful to those who ask for it. Boom. Let's just do something like that. So it's very brusque type of environment. It's like people are like, not necessarily cold shouldering each other or just like pushing past each other like out of the way, nothing like that. But like people aren't gonna make eye contact. It's a very New York type of place where it's like everyone's got a place to be. Everyone's going. Like they'll be friendly enough if you stop someone and say, "Excuse me, I'm looking for this place." They'll be like, "Oh, you want to go this way?" So it's like, again, people aren't being mean, but there's people have business. Google the error code. Yeah, 100%. 100% Google the error code. I mean, that's like, from what I understand from stories I've heard, that's like 50% of IT work is Googling the error code for people. I can tell you whenever I visit my parents and they're all like, hey, I'm having issues with my computer. My computer's doing this weird thing. Can you fix it? My response is, I'll try. And the first thing I do is Google the issue and then follow the steps that I find. And they're all like, oh, you're so amazing with computers. And I'm like, I'm the best. I'm the best. But, I mean, the funny thing about it is just because of how quickly computer technology changes, like, that is kind of IT, just being aware of where to find the answers for it. That's like, that puts you ahead of a lot of people, because a lot of people just aren't even really, I mean, think about it. I barely grew up with Google, right? Like, Google, being able to do a World Wide Web search of something came about when I was in grade school, right? Like, so I barely grew up with it. I was already half through education by the time that became a mainstream approach to things. So, like, it's a pretty new concept. It's a very new concept, even being able to just Google an answer to something. So I try to be patient with people, but that really is the solution to most stuff. Google it. All right, let's see here. So the docks, general atmosphere. The docks, I am feeling like is a very chaotic place. The docks there's just constant activity, fishing boats coming out, going out, coming in. There's markets, people calling out, trying to sell and make deals with their hauls and everything like that. So the docks are a chaotic place. I'm just gonna reiterate everything I just said. Boats are constantly launching and docking. Fishermen are calling out and selling their catches, while citizens haggle relentlessly. There's supposed to be 2 G's, I'm pretty sure, for haggle. Haggle relentlessly. This is a place constantly in motion from sun up to sundown. And I think that's all you kind of need. That really kind of gets it. That kind of gets across the point of the place. Again, we'll get rid of these. Rid of that. And then now the trades in the market district. Let's see. So this area. Let's see here. Oh, what do you got? Okay, talking about downloading information directly to your brains. I have said I will happily be a beta tester for, human augments of being able to put chips on, in my brain to expand my memory, or give me bionic eyes. Fucking sign me up for that. That stuff sounds rad. I would love to be able to have Google Glass, but it's just my eyes. That sounds awesome. And so as soon as they come up with reliably safe ways to put that crap on us, I'm in. Make me a robot. I want to be the opposite. I want to be the opposite of the Bicentennial Man. I don't want to be a robot trying to become human. I want to be a human slowly becoming robot. That's what I want, man. I think that sounds awesome. Let's see here. Moving in and out of dock sounds better than launching. This sounds like launching in space. I'm going to keep it as launching exactly for that reason. I think it sounds rad. Boats that go into space. Space boats. It's a magical D&D world. It's possible. I don't know. I'm leaving it. Let's see here. Trades market. So this area, so the markets are lively, but not with the same chaos as can be found at the docks. The markets are lively, but not with the same chaos that can be found at the docks. People are at work, and shoppers go about their business. But the existence of lines and people willing to wait their turn to speak with the shopkeepers. Oh wow, there's a lot of P's in that one there. Keep things much more under control. Boom, there we go. Simple as that. Simple as that. That gives us our general vibe for all of these things. We've got the permanent locations. These will eventually get fleshed out, and I'll probably do them one at a time. One at a time. We'll get to these things when we start doing our actual like shop templates and stuff like that, because I always like to take the time to actually sort of price things out that you'll find at the shops based on local economies and stuff like that. Mostly because I hate, as a DM, I hate having to try and think about the price of things off the top of my head, especially when players go off menu, so to speak, when they start trying to buy things or sell things that aren't just standard, you know, within the general items tables and stuff, because I love giving them custom items and stuff like that. But like as soon as they start trying to price out having an item enchanted or something like that, I cannot stand trying to come up with that off the top of my head, because the economy is just so inconsistent, and it's so hard to try and conceptualize how much would a magical sword that like spits poison every time you sneeze, like how much would that cost? How would I know? What context in my life do I have for understanding what that would be? So I always like to take the time to really flesh out shops, so that way I can, you know, a big part of that is being able to map out like, okay, what would this cost? What would that cost? So that way when I'm actually playing and players are all like, I want to sell this magical toad that eats babies, you know, at the pet shop, I can just be like, all right, yeah, we're going to go to the pet shop and that's going to cost, you know, 800, you know, you're going to get 800 gold for that thing. Call it good. It's just like, I've already thought about it. I've already put it down. It's already right there. So in the moment, I don't have to accidentally just like pull up a ridiculous number because I didn't know how to ad-lib it, nor do I have to halt all momentum and be like, give me a second, and spend 10 minutes looking something up in the book and then doing a calculator, you know, or a calculation with my abacus or whatever. It's just so much easier to do it. So we'll eventually be getting all of this stuff filled out. But I'm looking at the time. It's 1:30 where I am. And that means that that's going to be a project for next time, because I am going to take a break, you know, maybe like a 15-minute break or so, get my voice a rest, you know, go to the bathroom and all that kind of stuff, before I come back and do the video game stream. I've got Mass Effect 2 coming up next, playing that for a little bit. We're finally making progress. I finally have largely mined every planet in that game, so we're getting past the side quest stuff, and we're kind of getting more towards the main quest. So that's going to be coming up next. But yeah, that's going to be it for writing today. So thank you so much for everyone who stopped by. I always appreciate everyone in the audience. It makes it so much fun to do this stuff, and I really love doing these writing streams. I think it's really cool that people are interested in this and interested in sharing notes on how to do world building and how to do DMing. I think it's super cool. Coming up on the schedule, usually I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So obviously tomorrow is Wednesday, so there will be no writing stream tomorrow. And also Thursday, my day job is going to pull me away all day, so there will not be any streams on Thursday, unfortunately. I'll put a note about that on my Twitch page, my Twitch channel, so you can see that. So you'll be able to see that in the announcements section there. But just to give a heads up, there will be no writing stream this Thursday. I will be back Friday, and more than likely we'll be able to do some form of streaming on Saturday, but Saturdays are kind of always a toss-up. It really depends on what does or doesn't come up in my life over the weekend, because I give myself permission to be a human being who has wants and needs, and if I want to go out with friends on a Saturday to do stuff, especially in the summer, and I live not far from, you know, a lake, like if we're gonna do stuff, I give myself permission to do that. As much as I love streaming for everyone, damn it, I like having Saturdays too. So yeah, upshot, definitely streaming Friday. No guarantees about any other days this week. So stay tuned for that. you know, could check out, come check me out on Friday if that's what you want. If you want more stuff in between, I got a whole ton of VODs up on Twitch and on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is horribly disorganized. I've been meaning to keep things in playlists so it's easier to find, but I've been doing a very poor job of keeping up with that. So I don't know, maybe that'll be a weekend project to clean that shit up a little bit. But yeah, that's what I got. That's what I got. So again, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're interested in watching me game, feel free to stick around. Like I say, I'll be back in maybe like 10, 15, 20 minutes. I don't know. It just kind of depends on how long it takes for me to wind myself up and be ready to go for another couple hours. So if you want to stick around for that, great. If you're just here for the writing, I promise I will not be offended by that. I know different people are interested in different things. So I just am appreciative that you came by for the writing streams. So if that's the case, then I will maybe see you Friday. But either way, I'm so glad you stopped by. I am super excited to see you again whenever that is going to be. And yeah, take care of yourselves. And I will be back shortly. But for now, I'm going to end the stream as soon as I press this button right now. End stream.